Okay, home. And we are live. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Vinny's Corner. I'm here with my guest, Austin Rowland, today. Austin is actually one of the hosts of new podcast, The Sports Podium. I believe you guys have a new episode coming out, tomorrow or Friday?
It'll be Friday. We're gonna record tonight, go over some stuff tomorrow with it, and then try to release it Friday.
Nice. Looking forward to that as always. So this new podcast that these guys have, I don't know if you guys know, but it's with him and one of the other guys who's on the show once in a while, our guy, Hot Take City. You can find them both on X. So definitely check it out. I believe it's on Spotify, Amazon, and also Apple, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it should be on every streaming platform.
Nice. That's awesome. I love to hear it. I love to hear that. So, guys, this week on Vinny's Corner, there's a bit of news. Obviously, some things have happened, and there's some rumors in the NFL. And then, of course, we did want to jump into a little bit of NBA, talking about power rankings. And then for the second half of the show, I'll be solo, and we can talk a little bit about the things that are going on currently in the MMA and boxing world. I'm sure you guys probably saw there was some interesting stuff today. So to jump right in it, my wife's a Raiders fan, so this one came across pretty quick to me today. I thought it was a real interesting one. The Raiders have made a 3-year extension for Max Crosby, highest paid non-quarterback, right, is what they said, at $106.6 million. Pretty awesome, right? What do you think about that move, right? They don't even have a quarterback yet, but they're putting out extensions like this on top defenders already.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure really how I feel about it. The Raiders they need a lot of help. Obviously. Oh, there he is.
What's going on, Hot Take?
What's going on, man?
So if you guys missed what I was saying earlier about the podcast that just came out, the Sports Podium, here is your other host, Hot Take City. So before we jump back into this NFL stuff, you want to give the guys a quick little shout on your new podcast? What's going on with that?
Yeah, go ahead, Austin. Take that away.
I already shouted it out, fam. So we good.
What happened to Hot Take? As fast as he poop and he's gone.
He said, right? I see you.
Well, right. So as we were talking, maybe he'll come back. Hold on. I think what we got going on. All right, I got to remove this guy, and then I got to add this one.
I'm here. My bad.
No worries.
My phone. This guy.
I had to fix my phone, man.
So I wanted to give you guys a quick second in the beginning. Austin did a little shout about it, but if you wanted to just let everybody know about the Sports Podium, when the next episode is going to be coming out, and
So we're trying to release an episode at least once a week, and then here soon that we're going to try to do some live videos as well, and then give us a couple more weeks, and then we're going to start having guests on, inviting people to the show and stuff. And honestly, be honest with you, we're just doing it because we love sports. It's not anything else to it. Two men that literally love every single sport out there, So
I love it. So
he pitched the idea, and I was like, let's run with it,
Dude, I mean, listen, in this day and age, I think a lot of the average people that are out there besides ourselves, they're very interested in sports the way we are. And a lot of them want to hear there's only so many times in a day you can listen to Stephen A. Smith tell you the same thing, right? And if you watch ESPN, there are 6 different shows or whatever it is, right? And they have the same soundbite from each show. Or, Unsportsmanlike's got what Stephen A. said on his show. Stephen A.'s got what Unsportsman, so it gets old, right? And what better way to do it than to listen to what other fans are really talking about the sports you love. So I love it. Episode 1 was great.
And the thing is though, is we're not talking, from paperwork that was given to us. We're straight talking from the head, from the brain, from what we see with our own eyes. We're not reading off a script. We're not reading off of a teleprompter. We're not doing none of that. We're literally giving you stuff that we feel that are our opinions that people, like you said, don't really hear that much.
I love that. I love that. That's pretty dope. And, so if you guys haven't heard already, it's on Spotify, Amazon. I listen to it on Apple Podcast and pretty much every other app or podcast outlet, right? Nationwide at this point.
Yep.
First episode was real solid. I heard a lot of stuff that I agreed with regard to the NBA. So, and we'll jump into that once we get to the NBA side of things. So, and I know you'll have an opinion on this. Max Crosby becoming essentially the highest paid non-quarterback on his extension with the Raiders when the Raiders don't even have a quarterback. What are your thoughts on that hot take?
I mean, listen, you got to start somewhere, right? And starting with him, locking him in for a long contract is going to be good for the long run because here's the thing, right? Now you don't have to worry about defensive line. Yeah, you might need other pieces to go with him, but they don't need to be 5-star superstars to line up with him on that line. I mean, look at the Giants, for example. I mean, me and you both know prime example, yeah, we traded for Brian Burns, but Dexter Lawrence has been getting the job done, for a couple years by himself until we were able to get him some help and we were able to trade for Brian Burns, So having Max Crosby and signing that contract was huge for them on the defensive side because they can just plug and play now and find the right match for that line to help him, do what he does best.
I totally agree with you. And the way that I feel about it, right, with what's just gone on with Myles Garrett coming out and he's gone again. But with what's going on with Myles Garrett essentially being in a situation where, right, he's basically said he's not going to play for this team again. Now we have a concern with that, right? So the Raiders look at that and they go, do we want to leave ourselves open to get into that same position? Let's talk with Max, see what he's thinking, right? And ultimately, Max was able to come through for them and sign off on that deal. Hot take, what I was saying is, right, what just happened with Myles Garrett could have really spurred something like this because now the Raiders see that and they're like, you know what? Let's nip this in the bud. We got our own Myles Garrett, and let's make sure he's good and secure before he gets unhappy and looks to jump ship like this guy is, right? Because especially if Myles ends up with like the Washington Commanders, other guys are going to be out there and be like, you know what? I want my way. And they're going to try and do the same thing. So it was an important move, I think, for Tom Brady and the guys to lock this up, make sure they have that. And he's their star, So I like the deal too.
Yeah, actually, I love it.
Now, you brought up NFC East, obviously, our Giants. Here's what I saw in the NFC East that were, three big moves, I guess you could say, right? And you can let me know what you think first, Austin, obviously. So both CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott came out, and in the last 48 hours, they've allowed their contracts to be reworked, which has freed up something like over $40 million a year, right? 36.6 for Dak Prescott and about another 20 million a year. So maybe over 50 in total between CeeDee and Dak, they just freed up to make some moves in free agency. I think it was a really smart move on their behalf. What do you think the Cowboys do, or what do they need to kind of like shore things up on that team?
They need a lot different. I mean, I was watching this morning, and their total like rankings across the board for defense was like 21st, 24th, 27th, 31st. I'm not sure the exact categories, but their defense is not good at all, and to address that, their offensive line is probably going to need to be looked at a little bit. But I mean, if they can sure things up, that's a lot of free cap they just open up. Plus, with what we heard 2 weeks ago, where they're adding on cap to everybody, that just increases it even more for them. So I'm not sure where they're going to look, but it's definitely a good move for them.
Absolutely. What do you think, hot take?
I mean, I don't know, man. That defense last year was just so bad.
They gave up more rushing touchdowns than any team in the NFL in 2024.
I don't know if one person like that can fix that whole defense. I mean, they had holes everywhere on that defense.
Where they went and got Josh Sweat.
I mean,
Him and Micah.
I don't know, man. I don't think the defense is the problem. You want the honest truth? I really don't think the defense is the problem. Who do they have besides CeeDee Lamb? Let's be real here.
Well, and that's what I like. For me, it seems like Jerry Jones thinks that they're like a player away from competing. Now, granted, 2 years ago they did very well, but this team is just not that. And we saw it when Dak was out that nobody else was able to step up when they needed to. They've got here's what I think they're going to do first. I think they're going to take not a lot, but they're going to take a good portion of that cap. A lot of these free agents that they do like and are going to keep, they have like 7 or 8 players coming up on free agency. They'll probably go ahead and get those guys re-signed early, try and save a little bit of money. But I feel like they have a lot of holes, right? So they have to go out and get kind of aggressive when it comes to the line. They need an answer at running back, really. They really need a better number 2 receiver or a slot receiver in that position. I mean, they've got a ton of holes really to fill. So it's tough to say, but looks like they're going to have some cap to do it now at least.
Well, look at this, right? They need offensive line help. Okay. They need a wide receiver too, like you said. They need definitely another running back to go at least with Rico, like a 1-2 punch, if they're not going to go get a stud RB. Okay. And then also, they need to fill in some holes on that defense. So he's got a lot of work cut out for him this offseason, to figure out. I mean, he's already reconstructed CD's contract. He's already reconstructed Dak's contract. So are those reconstructions to bring in more players, or are those reconstructions because you're so far in cap space that you need money to sign draft players? That's what you got to look at.
Well, and so this is my other concern, right? Like, I almost feel like they should let Parsons go because it's like they're not going to be that competitive. They definitely won't. But a part of me feels like they restructured those contracts just to go give this guy an insane amount of money, right? And like, I get it. He's great. You want that player, but just stacking up stars isn't doing anything for them. Like, they need to retool this team. Like they need to be smart, and it's hard to say that Jerry Jones is going to be smart.
I'm going to give you one example, and I want to see if you disagree with this, okay? What they should have done is what the Giants should have done with Barkley. Trade him for either picks or players and get assets for your team if you're going to consider a rebuild.
100%. That, like, Parsons brings in the mother load. Like, you're getting first-round draft picks and all that for Micah Parsons, So, like, don't even get me started on the fact that the Giants literally got nothing. Like, you just let Saquon walk.
They let Barkley walk. They let Xavier McKinney walk.
The Giants should be in prime position this year, and because they let those 2 guys walk and didn't trade them, we're looking at the same old Giants, right?
Well, the problem with X, I don't know about, I don't know what happened there with McKinney, but Barkley. The problem with Barkley was they thought they were going to be able to re-sign Barkley to a long-term deal. Okay. So they were like, okay, we're going to go into the offseason. We're not going to trade him. Let's sign him to a long-term deal. Let's, pretty much give him what he wants. I mean, they weren't that far off from the Eagles deal. Let's be real here. What they offered him to what the Eagles offered him was only like a 1.3 million difference. Yeah. Does that make a difference? No. But also, yes, because, it was more on the guarantee side than it was the actual per year. It wasn't the per year that he was worried about. He was looking for more of the guaranteed money because he knows of his injury history with that team in the offensive line that he's had to run behind for the last 5-6 years. You know what I'm saying? So he was looking for more of the guaranteed money. But let's be honest here. He's from Penn State, which is where? Pennsylvania. He used to live in Pennsylvania. So we get why he went. We understand why he went. So the money, I don't think the money was the problem. I just think that he wanted to go back home to where he's from in that city, in that area.
Listen, here's what I think was the tipping point. Had Joe Shane not gone on essentially national TV on Hard Knocks and laughed at it, and like they played him, they made him look stupid on, in front of millions and millions of people, right?
But that
The
was
way that
after
they
the fact,
handled
though.
it, huh?
That was after the fact.
When not okay,
They did the recording during all of it, but they didn't release it until after he signed. You know what I'm
think
saying?
about everyone. I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but I thought that I saw that before he signed with the Eagles.
I
Now,
don't think so.
and I think that this is like the way that it looks for me is like I
Oh,
just
very shady. Very shady. I agree. I
like
agree.
They
bad
definitely
business.
played
Our
him.
front office has really bad business going on. What were you saying, Austin?
I think they definitely played him. I mean, he was their whole offense. I don't know the exact stat, but it was like 70 to 75% of their offense. And like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like going forward, it's going to leave a bad taste in like other skill position players when they're trying to negotiate with the Giants.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. It's a tough situation. Okay. So boom, boom, boom. Okay, so when did this happen? Eagles and Hard Knocks departure from. I was just looking. I was just looking online to see when it was. It came out a few months after. It looks like, but right. So obviously, now this leads into the next thing I wanted to touch on. Right, one of the biggest rumors out there right now. And right, so Crosby was going out there on a limb and talking about basically how he wanted to get Aaron Rodgers for the Raiders. Right, he's talking about how this is the year he's going to bounce back. He knows what it's like coming from this kind of an injury, et cetera, right? There's a lot of talk in the air about the Giants getting Aaron Rodgers. You know how me and Hot Take feel about this as Giants fans.
I'll say this on live video so everyone can hear me. I'm telling you right now, if the Giants sign Aaron Rodgers to a 2-year deal, because I know that's going to happen, okay, I will not support the Giants and I will root for a different team. It's just that simple. I'm telling you from now on live video so everyone can see it.
You root for the Patriots, bro?
Okay? No, I'm not rooting for the Patriots. I will never root for the Patriots. The Giants own the Patriots franchise. Okay?
Okay, calm down.
That's exactly how I feel about it, though. Like I've heard people in the media say, "Oh, you know what? The Giants are going to tank." Like if you're getting Rodgers just to tank, like
if we get Rodgers and Adams comes with him, I'll feel a little better about it. But if we just get Rodgers, just to get Rodgers because we fucked up or excuse my language, but we messed up in the free agency and didn't sign, or try to push harder for Matt Stafford or even try to trade up for Cam Ward, you know what I'm saying? Then it's just I can't see myself supporting that. I can't.
it's a
You guys
tough
will be the
situation,
Jets
man.
2.0. If you get Rodgers, it'll be just like the Jets was last year.
Dude. And like the only logic in my mind, the only logic to bringing him on is if you're planning to tank. And like, why would Joe Shane and Daboll bring this guy on to get themselves fired?
I mean, they're on the hot seat already, so they want to win. They don't want to lose. So bringing in Rodgers, I don't think you win. What do you go from 3 wins to 6 and miss out on Archie Manning? If that's what your plan is,
dude.
I'd be calling Minnesota if I was you guys and looking at Sam Darnold.
Yeah, or if they want to keep. I mean, obviously the news came out that they're not tagging Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? But if they're trying to re-sign him to a contract, pick up the phone. Hey, you want this year's second and next year's third for JJ? What's that hurt? Let's be real here. What's that hurt? What are they going to tell you? No. Okay, they tell you no. You move on. You try to go get a different quarterback. It's just that simple. Or, hey, you pick up the phone. Hey, Justin Fields, you want to come play in the Big Apple?
So I was going to ask, how do you guys feel about Fields?
I like Fields.
It's kind of like Jaden Daniels in a way. He just never had an opportunity.
Listen, Brian Daboll has succeeded with what quarterbacks? Look at the teams that he's been offensive coordinator or offensive coach in the past years, okay? Josh Allen, mobile quarterback, right? When Alabama pretty much runs mobile quarterbacks in Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay. the only team that didn't have a mobile quarterback was the Patriots, and they had the GOAT of the GOAT. So the two teams that he's been successful with have been with mobile quarterbacks. So
I don't think he would mess with Rodgers, to be honest with you.
that's what I'm saying. So I don't know where this Rodgers talk came from, which I completely hate it. But
it's terrible.
If you're Dayball and you know your success is a mobile quarterback, go look what he did with the Giants the first year. Look what he did with the Giants the first year with Daniel Jones. He had Daniel Jones turnover rates were down 75%. 75% down. Okay. And made the playoffs. Yeah, did that push us back? Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you no, it did push us back a couple of years on the rebuild and stuff. But look what he did with Daniel Jones in a full healthy year. Took him to Minnesota on a road as the underdogs and beat them by 6 points. Did we got mollywopped by the Eagles? I'm not telling you no, but for his first year coaching with Daniel Jones as his quarterback, as a quote unquote halfway mobile quarterback, he did pretty decent in my eyes.
He did. Listen, I'll tell you what. If you watch the way quarterbacks play, right, it seems like an obvious move to me that the Giants would go after Cam Ward if Joe Shane and Daboll were really trying to save their jobs. That Cam Ward is the kind of quarterback he works well with. I feel like he would do good with the guy. But I'm not I don't know what I expect at this point. I mean, if you're going to tank the season, what's the point in even getting a quarterback? Just to try and appease the fans. And if you bring in a Rodgers, literally you're going to lose fans. I mean, you just heard what Hot Take said. I'm in full agreement with that. I've told these guys, in a separate conversation, I will start cheering for the Commanders before I root for Rodgers and the Giants. No way. I'm just not. I can't do it. It doesn't make sense to me. But
listen, I can't speak on this much because I'm saving this for the episode we're about to record. But if I'm the Giants, I'm drafting best available if I don't get the first overall pick, and I'm going to get Monroe or Dart in the second round.
It's not a bad move. It's not a bad move at all.
That's simple. Whoever's there, whether it's Carter, whether it's Hunter, whether it's
what's this guy's name from Texas A&M? The D lineman. He did really well in the combine. I've actually listened to a few different people.
You mean the guy that ran the fastest 40 as a D lineman in this combine? Yeah.
What's this?
I know you're talking about.
Texas A&M. Well, whatever. It's not important, but a lot of people are saying that this guy.
Is it Shamar Stewart?
Yeah, Shamar Stewart. That's who it is. And a lot of people have actually been saying they're expecting him to maybe have one of the best. I've heard people talk about impact on a long term and the kind of career they expect to see a Shamar Stewart have. That could be a move. There are better ideas out there. Obviously, I'll listen to what you guys got to say about it. We'll touch on it next week for sure. But it's just an interesting thing at this point because the carousel of quarterbacks this year is kind of slim pickings, right? There's not really a lot of good action for who you can get. What do you want, Kirk Cousins? I mean, Justin's probably the best available, right?
Absolutely.
I just don't to me, getting Rodgers is just a dangerous move for any club at this point, especially when you're trying to instill your own culture. I just don't see why it would work with him. It's a tough position. So listen, I know you guys are getting out of here in a few minutes. So what I did want to jump on before you guys get out of here, NBA power rankings, kind of to shift gears here. Did you hear what I was saying, Hot Take?
Yeah, I heard you. Okay,
cool. So listen.
Every time I get a text and I close out the app, I can still hear you. You just can't see me.
Okay. So, I wanted to jump from football into the NBA because, like I said, I wanted to get some power rankings. Right now, my top 5 in the NBA, going into the playoffs, I I got Celtics at number 1 because I still think they're going to be the hardest team to beat in the playoffs.
Wait, before you continue, Austin, did Miami win today?
No, they lost by 5.
Oh, they were up by 1, and I thought they were going to pull that off. I was hoping.
It was a 3-point game. They had the ball with 18 seconds. Duncan Robinson caught it on the inbound, made the 3, but he stepped out of bounds.
Okay.
See now, and this is actually a good segue right here. So a lot of people have the Cavs, as their top team. Some have OKC. For me, OKC and the Cavs aren't even my top 2. They have the best records, but going into the playoffs, I don't know. I don't have faith in either of those teams. I mean, OKC got spanked by the Mavs last year in the playoffs. I don't know how much they did or did not learn from that, but like my number 1 and 2 right now. And you guys have probably heard me talk about one of the finals that I would think was interesting to see. I think the Lakers have really kind of put on in recent weeks. Obviously, since the Luka trade, it's gone everywhere it should for the Lakers, where the Mavs have completely downgraded. And, I mean, the Mavs are ready to shut down the season, it looks like, right? So, number 1, I got the Celtics. My number 2 are the Lakers. My number 3 team is the Cavs. My number 4 is OKC. And then number 5, I still feel like the Nuggets can do something. I mean, they got Jokic, so it's just hard to say that they're not going to be there for me yet. I see. Listen, I want to believe it, but here's my problem, right? And I'm a Knicks fan, right? Why are we so bad against teams that count?
No, it's not that we're bad against teams that count. Don't forget, we lost to the Warriors by what? 8 points without a cat? So come on now. We had a cat. That's a different ball game.
Yeah.
And, prayers up to his wife. His wife did post on Twitter, F cancer. So I hope everything is good there. You know what I mean? But if we had cat, that game against the Warriors is different. We've beaten Memphis. We've beaten the Nuggets. Come on now.
I think Memphis is the most fraudulent team in the West.
Watch, you'll see Thursday tomorrow. Tomorrow is a big game against the Lakers with Cat. So, and a Mitchell, and a healthy Mitchell.
Don't come on here talking crazy now.
And a healthy OG, and a healthy Brunson. You know what I mean? So
I fully believe that we're going to beat the Lakers tomorrow. I'm going to be honest, but I'm a Knicks fan. Of course, I believe it.
LeBron at 40 looks like anybody else at 27.
Well, did you see my post today? Did you see my post today?
It is nuts.
Which one?
Nuts.
Okay.
There's
no more goat talk. There's no more goat talk. I'm sorry. There's no more goat talk. Literally, LeBron and Jordan are on the same tier of elite status. Okay. And what Stephen A. Smith said today that he's heard from someone else actually makes perfect sense. And it's the first time I'll ever agree with Stephen A. Smith. Okay. As in, Jordan is the greatest player to ever do it. But what LeBron has done and consistently have done over 22 years of basketball, you'll never see anything like that again. Never.
So
I just love that LeBron's finally getting respect. But go ahead, then.
Listen, man. Okay, so I went to West Virginia University on the Panhandle, right next to Ohio. I was 18, a sophomore in college when LeBron was like this hype thing, when he was on Sports Illustrated and all this stuff. Everyone at my college was talking about him. I was like, there's no way this guy is this good. And I've been a LeBron hater for the better part of 20 years.
Oh, I have too.
In this last 2 years, and a part of it is because I'm 41, right? When I watch him play, especially in the last like 2 to 3 weeks, how the guy plays he plays harder than every sub 25-year-old in the game, period, right? His defense has gotten better recently. Like, I would not, if they called it today, I guarantee you LeBron would place third in MVP. Like, I'm just so impressed with watching him this season. I'm like, it's hard for me to not get on the bandwagon now.
If LeBron keeps putting up these numbers for the next 3 years, he should win back-to-back MVP.
If LeBron is still playing
Just saying.
basketball,
listen.
In 2
Y'all better
weeks, he's gonna
soak
have 42,000 points in the regular season.
You better soak all of this up. I'm just telling you right now. So y'all
I've
better
been soaking it
screenshot
up,
it.
fam.
You better screenshot it. You better record it. Blast it everywhere because this is the only time that you'll hear me give credit to him. Okay? So
Well, dude, it's one of these things like, okay, so a lot of people when Tom Brady was playing, when Tom Brady went to the Bucks, right? Guy is over 40 years old and competing, right? Real deal, getting ready to go win another Super Bowl. Now you watch Rodgers play, right? Over 40, and you're like, what is this
Bum.
guy doing? Why is he still playing? Right? People don't understand that like this kind of athlete is not an every year thing, right? Us seeing LeBron do this does not mean we're going to see 10 other guys go over 40 and play, over 25 points a game, averaging 9 rebounds, like I mean his numbers are crazy.
hold on here. Breaking news. Chargers release Joey Bosa.
Oh, are you
What?
serious?
Chargers release Joey, 5-time Pro Bowl DN, Joey Bosa.
He's gonna be a chief or something, bro.
All I'm saying is if I'm the Commanders, I'm picking up the phone right now.
They probably already called him.
I'm
Right?
picking up the phone right now, and I'm calling Joey Bosa's agent, and I'm telling him, listen, we got X amount of money. We'll give you this amount of guaranteed. We'll make something happen. And I'm bringing Joey Bosa to the NFC East to compete against the Eagles for that division title.
I'll tell you what, they need to get on the phone quick because if they don't, the Eagles will.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like
especially losing Josh Sweat.
Oh, well, that's exactly the point, right? Sweat's going somewhere else. So, and this guy got released. It's not like they got to give up picks. It's not like, what do you want? We can afford that. Like, oh my goodness.
If I'm any contending team right now, whether I just chose the Commanders because I know their defensive line sucks, but if I'm any contending team right now, I am picking up that phone instantly and I am signing him to the best contract I could possibly give him. What is he, 26 years old?
Dude is young. Honestly, you know what? If I was the 49ers, I would try and get him. You already have his brother on the team. You're already on the West Coast. Like, there are a lot of teams that need a guy like Bosa. Like, that's you kind of just blew me away with that. I was not expecting.
That's crazy.
I go to look at a message, and then all of a sudden it comes across my phone, ESPN. Chargers have released 5-time Pro Bowl DN Joey Bosa. I said, who? I had to relook at it. That's why it took me a second to tell you what it was because I had to like relook at it. Literally, my phone is blowing up right now from Sleeper to ESPN to all these different apps that I have for sports. It's just going crazy right now. Twitter is going crazy right now because of this.
Dude,
like,
that is goofy.
I can't
That's so crazy.
And here's the thing, right? Like my phone is right in front of me. It's literally right here, right? And I keep seeing like little things going off, and I'm like, but I don't really pay attention to it for the most part. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? I can't even like, dude, that's a shocker. That's one like
shocker. I
don't personally get that move. I don't know. Maybe other people would, but like Reggie, I'm just seeing this. Reggie, Cowboys just cleared $80 million in cap space today. We talking ball or not? Not to Cowboys fans.
Okay, Reggie.
Dude, that's. I mean, listen, man. Somebody's gonna snatch him. I wouldn't be surprised if Bosa had a new landing place by Friday. You know,
listen,
I mean,
I agree.
Listen,
dude, like,
I'm Joey, but if I'm Joey Bosa, I'm not just gonna go sign with a bottom tier team though.
No, I mean, if you have an opportunity, and that's the thing with like a Commanders is that the Commanders have a lot of money. The Commanders, right? Even and I know they're not a good team right now, but the Patriots are in a building phase right now. They've got their quarterback. They've got the money. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
I'd be okay with it.
No, Patriots don't need defense though. That's the thing. Patriots need offense.
We need everything, brother. We are ass.
But The Patriots defense is not the biggest concern, though.
You got your coach and you got your quarterback.
Receivers. You have who do you have as wide receiver for Drake May? You have
You want me to give you the rundown?
You have Demario Douglas. Like who do you have? You have no true number one wide receiver.
Our number one's actually Butte.
Okay, what did he do last year? Did he get 1K?
I think he might have had 600.
Okay, so why not go try to?
No, 100%. We need Ayuk. We need DK. The Patriots need a lot.
DK's on the market.
I'd be okay with Lockett.
Pick up the phone and call Cincinnati. See what the fuck they want for T. Higgins.
They franchise tagged him.
It doesn't matter if they're not going to sign him to a long contract. Why not pick up the phone and try to get him and try to give them assets for that? You have the picks. You have the cap space.
Trust me.
What about DK Metcalf?
Same boat.
That too. Or pick up the phone,
call
Davante Adams. Bring Davante Adams and let him train these young wide receivers on how to run routes and how to be a wide receiver.
You can't train what we have.
Adams. Listen, Davante Adams some people might not consider him a great wide receiver or a top 10 wide receiver, but Davante Adams, deep down, is probably one of the best pure route runners I've ever seen as a wide receiver.
He is
elite. Yeah, when he comes to running routes, no one can top Davante Adams in running routes.
No, I agree with all that. The Patriots need a ton, and T. Higgins obviously has been talked about. DK's been talked about, but he wants to play for a contender. Tyler Lockett just got released. You have Amari Cooper that's a free agent. There's guys out there that you're gonna have to get somebody. But yeah, I think actually, if they went and got Bosa, it would help them.
Listen, having that kind of ability on the defense automatically it helps any team.
We went 9-8 when we had Mac Jones, and our best defense player was Matthew Judon, had 16.5 sacks.
So, okay, and actually, it's interesting you bring that up, right? Because it just makes me think about who the sack leader was last year from the Bengals, Hendrickson, right? Hendrickson's up for a deal too. Okay, now that at minimum they have to give Higgins $26.5 million. They're gonna have to give Chase like $45 million a year, and they already have that Joe Burrow contract looming. So you might be able to find a guy like Hendrickson looking to make a move too, because free agency's right around the corner for him. So there are some options out there. There are definitely some options, no question about that. But like I feel like for you guys, just a smart, quick, probably easier move would be Davante, right? Davante's already on the East Coast. He's already played in the AFC East this season, but also Lockett. Both of those are really good receivers, really good options, and they're not connected to a team right now, So you could bring them in for less than having to trade out, picks, draft cap, whatever, any of that kind of stuff. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's definitely like, it's crazy, right? It's not even football season anymore, and football still takes over the conversation every time.
Well, when you get a notification like that, but the world stops. So,
dude,
football is king.
I'm sorry.
This is what happens to me during my day. I'll be doing stuff productive, and then boom, something. I get an Adam Schefter notification, and I can't miss a Shefty post. I'm like, oh my! Every time, it's always something amazing.
All right, but listen, though, I got to run. I got to put my phone on the charger. You know what I mean?
I know. You guys got your podcast coming up now, right?
We got to go do some recording and do all that stuff. So I got to go take care of some business and then jump and go record. So
listen, I appreciate both of you guys jumping on today. For folks that are out there tuned in, we've got some boxing and MMA to talk about now. It's that time of day, a little transition right into Vinny Sports. As you can see, I got my Ali shirt on today. But guys, thanks for joining. And let me know when the podcast is out. Obviously, I'll promote it as always. And I'll talk to you guys in the chats a little bit later about this release, because that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
No other way to say it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, fellas. All right, guys. So for those folks that are tuned in, thank you guys for joining me. Those are my guests, Hot Take and Austin. And they will have a new podcast coming out this week. So there's some big news today in the combat sports world. to me, it was actually kind of a crazy moment. So, guy's name is Turki Al-Sheikh. He kind of jumped into boxing in the last year and a half. He's been throwing money everywhere, right? Where this gets spicy is because he's been trying to make the best fight the best. So what he went out and did is he just signed Dana White up for a new deal where basically they're going to have a UFC-style boxing league coming out in the next year or so. And the goal, obviously, much like the UFC, is to have the best fighting the best and get the best people competing in that. So it's a pretty interesting moment. Hopefully some of you guys saw this today. I'm curious to know what people think. So if you're listening, feel free to tune in, send a message, a comment. I do my best to try and respond to those things when they come through, obviously. But for me, that was like one of the biggest things in a long time to hear for boxing, for combat sports as a whole. Dana White making the foray into boxing, right? What do you think? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Are we going to get the best versus the best? And if you used to be a boxing fan and stopped tuning in, is this the kind of thing that'll make you get back on board with boxing? That's really what the question is for me, right? Does this entice you to start watching boxing again, knowing that we might get the best versus the best again, and everything that comes with, the whole UFC style, having a league, right? It gets, in doing that, right, instead of having 4 different governing bodies with a regular champion, a super champion, and an interim champion, the idea would be that every weight class would have one champion, right? So it would dramatically change things up from the way that boxing is as we know it. I'm just curious to know what people think. I've got a post up on X also. You can always tap in there, but let me know what you guys are thinking about that. For me, obviously, I'm into boxing. I got my Ali shirt on today, and it's always one of the biggest things for me. So I'm curious to know what people thought. So last week, we had a fight that ended in a bit of controversy. Everyone is kind of familiar with Tank Davis, right? He is one of the superstars in the sport of boxing. Probably the only person bigger than him is Canelo, right? He actually sells out pretty much everywhere he goes, and he had the second largest gate, the Brooklyn, what is it called? The Brooklyn Center, ever had. The only people who have sold more money like in a gate for them was the Rolling Stones, right? So this guy is pretty popular. This past week, where he's known for knockouts in 28 of 30 professional bouts prior to Saturday, he's had KOs. His last 4 bouts all ended in stoppages. He's got a lot of highlight reel knockouts. This week, however, a lot of people are saying that he should have lost a fight. Now, as a boxing fan, I'm not sure that he should have lost a fight. I feel like it was pretty evenly matched, but I had him winning through the first 6 rounds, 5-1, right? Now, Lamont Roach came on very strong. He fought a great fight, and I was okay with the draw, but Lamont's people have taken to the courts, and they are looking to have it overturned because in the 9th round, when Lamont was throwing a few jabs, Tank turned, took a knee, went to his corner, right? And then one of the cornermen came onto the mat where you're not supposed to be during a round to wipe off his face, right? After the fact, Tank said that he had gotten his hair done 2 days earlier. His hair grease had dripped in his eye and it was bothering him. Now, mind you, everyone knows, right? You get grease all over your face, right? They put Vaseline on your face when you're boxing to make you a little more slippery, essentially, right? Because boxing gloves will stick right to your skin. So do you believe it? Is this something that people bought into? Do you feel like Tank won that fight? I don't know. I mean, like I said, for me, the draw was cool. Tank is no longer 30-0. He's 30-0-1, right? So kind of changed his legacy a little bit. But I would love to see that fight go to an immediate rematch. And then from that point, look to if he wins, big if, right? Lamont Roach fought awesome, man. That was a great fight. So I won't want to take anything away. And I don't want to say that Tank's going to win because we don't know. But do you want to see a rematch? And what do you think the outcome would be if you did get to see one, right? I think that's kind of the big question that a lot of people have. But we don't know what's going to happen next, so it's tough to say. Now, that was last week. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff coming up in boxing. You guys have probably seen some of the press conferences. Ryan Garcia's back, and he's fighting for a belt. On May 2nd, they're going to have a fight that's open to the public in Times Square, outdoor venue. So Devin Haney is going to be on the card against Ramirez. Teofimo Lopez is fighting, and he's been kind of he's been a little bit of a problem child recently. He's been doing a lot of like background stuff that's very, it's looked at as very racist, right? No other way to sugarcoat it. He actually sent a guy who just won his first belt, watermelon and bananas, 2 days before the fight, or the day before the fight. The guy then went and kind of stepped to his opponent thinking the guy was being a racist. It turned out to be Teofimo Lopez. So he's been out there all over the place. He's putting his belts on the line against Arnold Barbosa. So that should be a really cool card. So for those folks that are looking to see some good stuff in boxing, and if you're in New York, definitely stop by Times Square. I mean, what better? A free fight outside, and you get to see the likes of Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. It should be a really good time. Also, on a last note, Canelo has a unification coming up that same weekend on May 3rd, or May 2nd or 3rd, I believe, whatever the Saturday is. That's going to be his first fight in Saudi Arabia. He's looking to get back the belt that he had to give up, excuse me, because he wasn't willing to fight the mandatory challenger at the time, William Skull. Anyways, he had to give up that belt. William Skull took the belt, the IBF title. Now, all this time later, he's going to fight William Skull in a unification bout in Saudi Arabia for Cinco de Mayo weekend, kind of the weekend that Floyd christened years and years and years ago. That is going to have an open to the public press conference, the first one for Canelo and William Skull. So Canelo will be there in New York City tomorrow at Radio City Music Hall. So again, if you're in New York, definitely pull up, check that out. That's pretty awesome stuff. And then, of course, last but not least, in the combat sports world for this week, the guy is back. Alex Pereira is fighting this weekend against, I don't want to mess his name up, but I know his last name's Enclave. So the UFC does have a fight card this weekend, which should be dope. I'm gonna pull up the full card here real quick so we can kind of talk through it. I'll give you guys what my thoughts are on it. Let's get a look here. UFC 313. So, it's against Magomed Enclave, right? But Justin Gaethje's fighting also against Rafael Fiziev. That should be a good fight. That's going to be all action. That's a lightweight co-main event. But that should be a really solid fight for sure. For those people that are fans of the sport, though, of course, obviously that fight's a little bit different because he was originally Gaethje was supposed to be fighting against Dan Hooker. Hooker had to drop out, so that fight was canceled and it was changed. And there's also, I believe, there's a good women's strawweight on. Amanda Lemos is fighting. She's a really solid fighter. Definitely somebody to check out against Yasmin Lucindo. So that should be a good one too. But of course, what everyone tunes in for, Potan, Alex Pereira is back. So definitely don't miss that. I will be checking it out. I may be doing a live space for that on Saturday. So check me out on X on the socials. But guys, this is all I got for you this week. And again, thanks for tuning in to Vinny's Corner. It's always a pleasure. Take care.